So let's talk a little bit about low point, what's going to actually be the determining factor of your low point in your golf swing. Typically speaking, and this is not ironclad across the board, but I know a lot of you want to be able to hit down on the golf ball, and you should be hitting down on the golf ball. Even with your driver, you can hit slightly down on it and still be successful. We're going to look for a low point somewhere between 3 and 5 inches in front of the ball. Now, look, that again is something that's geared towards the PGA Tour. I know a lot of you at home don't produce the speed in which they produce. You don't need to have a low point that far forward and a steep angle of attack for you to be optimal. A lot of you actually need to be a little bit on the shallower side so that you can get the speed out of the golf swing. But what the big factor that's going to determine where the low point in the swing is going to be is your lead shoulder. Your lead shoulder is your primary pivot point in the golf swing. If I were to stand with all my weight on my lead foot, just lead arm only, arm hanging down freely, and I were to take my arm and just swing it back and forth, well, every single time that club starts to swing past my body, the club is going to start to pull itself down directly underneath the shoulder. Now, I know a lot of us, including probably you, don't play this sport lead arm only, as much as some of you probably should. You play it with your trail hand on the golf club. And when the trail hand comes on the golf club in that same sort of context, what that's doing is it's actually moving the pivot point back from the center of the shoulder, just inside, right here, right around the armpit. Now, if you think about it, you've heard me talk about ball position a lot in many different videos where I talk about having the ball position off of the logo on your shirt or kind of off of your lead ear. There's a reason for that, is because what we look for at impact is we want the lead side of the body to be as close to stacked up into a neutral joint alignment scenario that you can get into. Meaning if you were to take a string and drop it straight down through my hip socket, knee, and ankle, and then you were to extend that string up, we're looking to try to form a pretty straight line here. Now, there are some things that you do in the golf swing that can affect your ability to be in that position. For instance, how you shift your center of mass. That's a hugely important one. And a lot of you don't use any sort of weight shift in your golf swing because you motor it with a whole bunch of body turn and you use way too much hand and arm strength in your swing. So you have to remember that how you shift your weight in the golf swing is going to play a significant role in this, but also how you avoid the two really common faults that I see so often. And the first one being is when you start the downswing and you start to early extend, the spine starts to move vertical. Guess what's happening to your shoulders? Well, the position of your shoulders is starting to get influenced by that. And the same thing applies when you look at things from a face-on perspective, that if I were to just shift my pelvis laterally and my lead shoulder starts to get really high, trail shoulder starts to get really low, you can understand that that's starting to move the low point back in the swing ever so slightly, and it's going to force your hands to start reacting to that. And that's what starts to send you down these little tail spins of moving the ball position around to try to offset that. And that's what gets you into trouble. Today, we're going to help you figure out a way to get that lead shoulder in the perfect spot. We're going to help you avoid the common faults that we see. And we're going to go through these steps and give you some goals that you're going to have to reach before you move into the next one and the next one. If you reach the goals and you have some awareness of what I'm teaching you, by the time you get to end of step number 2, that's going to have a lot of information in step number 2, then you're going to be ready to start practicing this stuff. Okay, so let's jump into step number 1 now. Make sure you head down below if you're not subscribed to the channel and do us a big favor. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the like button. It's good for our psyche. It's good for the algorithm. And if you have any questions or comments, that also goes a long ways because I love to be able to communicate with you guys, to be able to help you play your best golf. Now, let's get to work. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use this setup that I have down here on the floor here for the entire duration of the drill, just to create a little visual. This first ball that's placed on the ground here is going to be in line with my normal ball position. So it's going to be off of my lead ear. And this other ball that's about somewhere between 4 and 5 inches in front of it is going to be considered the end of the low point. What we're going to do here in step number 1 is we're going to isolate, and we're going to do some reps where we get all of our weight on our lead foot, and we're going to make sure that we do some lead arm only swings, and we're going to try to get our club to brush the grass in front of this ball up here 15 times in a row. If you get to 12 and you miss, then you need to go back and restart yourself. But the key here is to keep the lead arm swinging back and forth from about just a shortened up 9-3 sort of swing format, with your grip pressure being light and not trying to influence the golf club. A lot of you are going to sit there and try to push on the shaft of the thumb, or you're going to try to aim it in a certain spot. Go ahead and grab the golf club, grab your favorite 7-iron out of your bag, okay? Put both hands on it. Shift your entire body left. Notice how my head, my shoulder, everything went left. Take your trail hand and put it behind your back. And all I want you to do is do 1 rep at a time, just like I did there, and try to get 15 of these in a row. If you don't hit the ground, then there's a pretty good chance that you're holding on to tension up here. I want you to make sure that you're keeping the arm moving from one side of the ball to the other, and I want you to certainly make sure that you're not pushing the shaft down with the thumb. This should become pretty easy if you close your eyes and think about exactly what I'm trying to get you to do here. When you start thinking about the club and where it's going to, then that's when you're going to fail. Think about what I'm giving you here. Left arm swinging freely from one side of the ball to the other, grip pressure really light, and the club will do what you just saw me do. How your center of mass moves in the golf swing is going to ultimately influence the position of your shoulder. We're not adding in any sort of big, robust movement here, like a sit movement or just giant amount of body turn on the lead side. We're just thinking about keeping our lead arm moving from one side of the ball to the other, but we're going to do that with our weight shift happening first. So here's how it's going to look. We're going to take our setup, and if the golf club becomes heavy to you, you can choke down on the golf club, totally fine. So I've got my setup position here. I'm going to take my right hand and put it behind my back, and I'm just going to shift my belt buckle ever so slightly back and behind the ball, and just make a little swing back here by turning my body. Then I'm going to take my belt buckle, and I'm going to shift it in front of the golf ball, okay? And I'm just going to let the arm swing through to the other side. Okay, so it's going to look like this. So it's right ankle, left ankle, let it swing. Make sure shift is happening first. And if you can do this 15 times in a row, then you can proceed into step number 2, where things are going to get a lot more complex and a lot more realistic. But you've got to stay disciplined and make sure that you don't have any screwed up. I almost missed there, okay? Okay? Don't try to be in control of the club. Keep your grip pressure light. These are little small swings. Now, if you're finding that you're not able to do this, then you need to go back to step number 1, back check your tension. If you're finding that you're having a hard time doing this at the speed that I'm doing it, slow it down. Go piece to piece. Make sure you shift, let the club swing back, shift, let it swing through. Then as you get proficient over the next few days, you'll be able to start doing it with a little bit more fluidity like I did, and then you can move to step number 2. Don't just follow this drill and say, I've done 15 reps there, I've done 15 reps there, I'm ready for showtime. You want to be connected to what I'm giving you. Your goal is to get connected to the correct positions at impact that you're going to be trying to work through before you start going into step 3, when I start teaching you how to practice this stuff. If at any point during any of these 3 sets of 20 that you're about to do, you lose sight of what you're doing, then stop, backtrack a little bit, and then start to ramp yourself back up. This is a drill that's going to give you right around 100 to 115 total reps every time you go out there and practice it, and you're going to have a much better impact position when it's all said and done that's got complete command of your low point. I want you to take your setup, and I want you to understand that we're not going to just take our weight and just start shifting it in the golf swing. There's other big movements that take place. What you're going to see with most playing professionals is that on the way down into impact is that their head is going to drop down a significant amount, and it's going to stay down. Most of you go the opposite way. Now, when you land in this impact position, it's going to be very foreign to you because it's going to feel like you're way too far over the golf ball, because you are. You're going to be in a position that you don't have anything in there to shallow it out until we start adding the other components in here. Shallowness is going to come from your release and how your spine starts to move through this position. You don't want to start shallowing the golf swing by going into early extension. You want to allow the natural tilt to the spine and what the hands and arms are going to be doing eventually when we get to step number 3 to be the influence to that. So here's how we're going to do things. I want you to take your setup, put your trail hand again behind your back, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to use that same center of mass scenario where we shift it, okay? And we're going to just turn back to a 9 o'clock position. So lead arm parallel to the ground. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sit down onto our lead ankle. So we're going to be dropping down, okay? And at that same time, we're just going to rotate our hips open and bring our lead arm, let it just fall down in front of our lead thigh here. And you want to check to make sure you've got your hips open 35 to 45, shoulders nice and square, your head is dropped down ever so slightly, and your lead arm is hanging down freely. I know that sounds like a lot of checkpoints to you, but you got to get your body to the impact position that's going to matter the most to you. Okay, I want you to do this slow and choppy, lead arm only at first. Okay, so downward pressure in the lead ankle, open the hips, stay down, let your lead arm come down in front of you. Now I would strongly suggest to every single one of you doing this drill with me right now to take your trail hand from behind your back and bring it over onto your lead hand and start feeling what it's like for your new impact position. Take a snapshot of that in your brain every single rep that you do. Okay? So we want to do 20 perfect reps. If you land at a spot that needs to be corrected, it's not a perfect rep. You got to start over and do that rep again. Sit down. So think about center of mass, shifting. You're sitting down into your lead ankle. Keep that movement simplified. Okay? Right ankle, down, left ankle, open up. Right hand comes back in, stop. Knocked out 20 reps. Second step, 20 more reps. We're gonna do it with our trail hand on there the entire time. We're not doing this with a golf club just yet. Okay, so we're gonna act like we're holding a golf club. Ball position now. We need to make sure it's off of our lead ear. We're gonna make a small shift to our trail side, turn back to 9 o'clock, downward pressure, stop. Hips are open, shoulders square, head is lower, hands and arms are hanging down freely. Looks like a pretty decent impact position, right? Believe me, I'm working on trying to get back there myself. Okay? So you should see the lead side of the body pretty well stacked up here. If you do 20 perfect reps there, the third and final component before we start taking these body positions and the awareness of the lead shoulder and the awareness of the lead arm to the mix with the golf club in our hands, we need to make sure that we can get our body to move through that position. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, the first thing I want you to understand is that as your hands and arms start to work down to impact, okay, so if this is where impact is going to be, as they start to pass in front of my body, okay, my shoulders are going to start to steepen up and I'm going to go into side bend. Okay, so this is a position that's very uncomfortable. It's a position that we move through so fast. So the best way to think about this is as you get to that impact position, you start to move through, keep your shoulders as square as you possibly can and tilt your spine back and extend your arms and try to rotate your wrists and forearms to where they're kind of touching each other on the lead side. So now it's going to look like this. So we're going to go low to the right, downward pressure, impact, extend the arms. I want you to work at a slow speed here. These are connected movements that you're going to be able to move through faster as you become more proficient with them. So you just had a really successful 60 reps on top of the 30 reps that you did in step number 1. You're at 90 total reps for the session. Now is not the time to start taking that hard work and throwing it out the window. Now is the time to start taking that stuff and turning it into a practice program. And this is one of the things that we specialize here, is that we specialize in helping you understand when to take that awareness and turn it into something that's going to be meaningful for you to try to hit golf balls with. We don't want you going out there and trying to rifle through golf balls. We want to keep your ball count down and we want to keep your awareness up. This is how you get better at this game. Now, I'm going to go through a protocol here that's going to kind of help me tie it all together. It's going to be a small combination of these things, but it's going to be done in a way that I'm going to quickly move through it, and I'm going to start rewarding myself with some practice swings here, and I may even try to hit a golf ball. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go back to step number 1. I'm on the range, I'm in the simulator, I'm ready to rock and roll here. I've got a ball down on the ground in the correct position, and all I'm thinking about here is just getting my weight left, just making sure that I've got some tension-free shoulder and arm action here. Okay, this all is working out good for me. If I don't have that, I'm not ready to work on the next piece here. So now I'm going to just add some shift in there to make sure that it's still working in my favor. Okay, seems to be doing all right. I've got some awareness of it. Okay, that was a little tense. Okay, now watch what I do here. Take the golf club, stick it on the ground. I'm going to go both hands because I just did these reps. I'm going to go back to 9, impact. Okay, I'm going to pick the golf club back up. So shoulder tension. I'm gonna keep that arm really relaxed and chill. I'm gonna start making some little small reps here. Okay, club bottomed out perfectly there. I'm not worried about the results. I'm worried about my body movements. Shoulder feels tension free. I feel like I'm moving pretty close to those same impact positions. Not trying to force things. Okay, feels pretty good. Got 5 or 6 good reps in there. I'm gonna just try to hit a shot. Okay, now listen. I know a lot of you are probably thinking to yourself, well, I see some differences at impact versus what he was just doing drill-wise there. I know. The same thing you're gonna see. We're introducing a golf ball back to the mix, which heightens the consequence, which makes it harder for you to stay consciously aware of what you're trying to get done. Your subconscious is a powerful being. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to make those practice swings as good as you can possibly get them, staying aware of them, and then what you're trying to do is get the golf ball to get in the way of those swings. And look for it. Look to try to get a little bit better every time you practice it. Those of you that give yourself grace and not look for the perfect ball strike or the perfect swing when the golf ball is present, but you know your body movements are starting to get better, are the ones that are gonna get to the finish line faster. If you go out there and you lower your expectations and you start practicing properly, I promise you, so many of you are gonna be a much better golfer when it's all said and done. Take your time and go through this protocol. Lead shoulder needs to be relaxed. Weight shift is your friend. Staying down in posture is also your friend, and you'll have a very good low point that allows us to build the other aspects into the golf swing that you have to have. How you generate your force, how you have your swing plane in your path, how you manage your club face are all big factors that we work on here at My Golf DNA, and you'll get there when you have good low point control. See you guys in the next video.